Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. This is Miss Margaret coming to you from my kitchen to your kitchen, declaring that this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Well, I hope everyone is having a good morning, and I hope you're inside because it is like frigid cold outside. We are in the weekend, and we're in what they call an Arctic winter here in the state that I live in. And so I think right now it's maybe 12 degrees, whatever, honey. If it's under 50, honey, it's cold to me. So 12 degrees, that means I'm in the house. Don't need to be out nowhere trying to do nothing. So anyway, they have prepared us. But if you have to get out today, they said this is the time to do it. Get it done and get it done now because I think there's going to be they're talking about 16 inches of snow, which is crazy. Anyway, so what I wanted to do, I want to be in the house, I want to be comfortable, I want to have something warm to eat. And so today I'm going to be doing beef stew. Yeah, everybody probably knows how to do it, but I'm just going to share with you how I do it, okay? And so I'm going to start off and show you what I'm going to be using here. I'm going to try to tuck my camera down here so you can see. Let me try to work this. Hopefully nothing falls out this tripod here. Give me a minute. Y'all know how do I do this? Let's see. Here we go. I think that'll try to, I don't want to get to where you can't actually see what I'm doing. Let's see. Here we go. So I'm going to be using beef stew right here, okay? I'm using beef stew. Let me pull that back some so you can see it. Beef stew is what I'm working with. I've got garlic powder. I've got onion powder. I'm using a little garlic salt, black pepper, and you guys know my favorite. Yes, this just a little bit of this because this is going to give it a kick. Of course, I have my vegetables that I've got cut up here. I've got my carrots and potatoes, and then I've got my bell peppers and onions that I'll be putting in there. And then my husband likes green beans in his. He can't eat green peas, so we're gonna. And I've washed these green beans, okay, and I'm gonna be putting that in there. And then what a lot of people don't use is tomato sauce. Instead of using tomatoes, I'm using some low salt tomato sauce, okay? And that's how I do mine. And then, so what the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and season down my meat. Now, my hands have already been washed. Y'all, I've been washing my hands so much since COVID. It's one that I got any skin on it at all. So this is some onion powder that I'm putting on here, okay, on my meat. I'm just seasoning it down. Then I'm going to take a little bit of, and keep this stuff washed that wiped down too when you're seasoning. I got my onions, salt, and my garlic powder. Garlic, garlic powder, onion powder. Then I put a little bit of garlic salt in here that has a little parsley in it. Put that in there. Put some black pepper in here. And y'all know I do everything by eyeball. So if y'all looking for measurements, I say do it to taste. But I kind of been doing this for so long, I kind of know how I want it. And just for a kick, I put my slap your mama. Now this is that hot. This is not. So be very careful with this. This is, you'll see on there, says hot. That's going to give it a little kick. I'm just going to mix this around in here because I want this meat seasoned. Okay. All right. Okay. Now over on my stove, I'm going to take you to the stove in just a minute, but I got some oil in a pan. Let me try to shift this over here so you can see because I'm going to be moving everything over. So over here in my pot, I've got a little bit of oil, canola oil. on the bottom where I'm gonna brown my meat, okay? So let me put this over here. Hopefully, bear with me while I switch around. Wish I had wider cabinets or a big island, but I don't. So let me show you how I'm gonna do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm getting ready to brown my beef, okay? So y'all hear that sizzling? I'm gonna brown my beef. I want to cook my beef pretty much before I put the water and all that into it. And this is just how I do, okay? And this is probably about a pound of stew meat. I don't know about y'all, but when we were kids, Mama would make stew meat, and she'd make stew and use the beef stew, and honey, everybody would fish the meat out and the potatoes, and all you had left was carrots and juice. And that would be so aggravating because you looking for the meat and potatoes, and they were all gone. So I'll let you see this over here. See how that's in there? And I'm just gonna let that cook and brown, okay? All right, so in the meantime, I'm gonna get back over here. I'm kind of wash that up. Let me turn this up and I'm gonna talk to you a little bit here. Oh, let's see. And I need to wash my hands too. Hold on. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit so we can talk. I have the hardest time trying to figure out how to use these technical things. Let's see. There we go. Now, all right. So I'm just gonna wash my hands here right now since I have my hands on that meat. Keep my hands washed at all times and try to clean as I go. So anyway, hands are washed here. So anyway, if you guys have to get out, I hope you just make sure you wrap up real good. Make sure you're gassed up. Make sure you've got everything you need, because this is just not a good time to be out at all. And so I'm just wanting everybody to stay safe. We're dealing with so much. We haven't seen this kind of, they're expecting in. I don't know how many of you remember the winter of 2009. 2009, that's Christmas Eve. We had that snowstorm come in. And outside of missing Christmas 2020, you know, we didn't do Christmas like we normally do because we couldn't gather due to COVID. But in 2009, we couldn't gather because of the snow that hit, that snowstorm that hit the Christmas Eve of 2009, or was it 2010? Anyway, people were stuck. My husband was stuck at work. My son-in-law was stuck in Norman. Well, I had a daughter-in-law. She was stuck out on the highway for about 6 hours before anybody could get to her. So we should have learned our lesson from that winter. That if you out, you better make sure you can. She was in a little old low car, and honey couldn't take the tread. Couldn't get through the snow. And she sat there for 6 hours, and finally somebody came to her rescue and got her out of there. And then she couldn't get into the driveway because cars, it was like cars all over the place. It was like parking lots of cars stranded all over the city that year. And we don't want a repeat of that. I mean, we're going to get it, but we should have learned our lesson then. So anyway, let's be very, very careful and cautious while we're out, okay? In this weather, okay? I'm gonna get my thongs here and start working with this meat. Let's see here. I'm gonna turn in this meat here. I'm just getting it browned, okay? That's what I'm doing. Hopefully, see if you can go along with me as I work with this. Now some people will just, you can't see that anyway. I'm just gonna put it up here. Some people, they will take their meat, they'll just put it in some water and boil it, and try to cook it that way. But this way, it's a longer process, okay? But it gives it a better flavor, okay? When you go ahead and you brown it. Now, and I've done it the other way, and sometimes it tastes kind of bland. But this way, the way I'm doing this now, I'm cooking this meat with the seasoning already on it, okay? So that seasoning will cook into the meat. I'm not gonna cook it, just while I'm browning it on both sides and making sure that meat turns brown, okay? Some people use flour in theirs. I don't need any flour in mine. Some people will use cornstarch. I don't really need cornstarch in mine either. I kind of like mine soupy, not gravy. Some people like gravy beef stew. I don't like the gravy beef stew. That's why I use tomato sauce, okay? So, that's how I'm doing this, okay? I'm just making sure that my meat is browning on both sides. I don't need that up too high, but I got it up pretty high because I wanted to get in there and cook down, okay? So we got that going on in the pot. And the next thing I will be putting in there, once I get those cooked and put on a separate, I'm kind of separating it, cooking it separate here just to make sure everything is okay. This is just a longer process. The lazy way, you just dump everything in the pot, throw some water on it, put the seasoning in, and you let it boil. But it's still not as good to me as doing it this way, okay? And anyway, another thing that I will be putting in this is some bouillon. I've got some beef bouillon that I'm going to be putting in there. Let me get it out. Well, this is chicken bouillon, so I'll be putting some of that in there once I get it all together. And I've got some, and then some beef bouillon. So we're gonna be working with that too. Forgot to put that in there. So anyway, y'all, right today, while I'm just talking to you, my heart is somewhat heavy today. And that's because I heard last night that Pastor Frederick Casey Price passed away. He made his transition. And I understand that he had COVID. His son was on last Sunday, and they decided to report to the public that he and Betty, his wife, Sister Price, they both had contracted COVID-19. Now they live in California. And you guys know that California is a hot spot for COVID. And for whatever reason or how they did it, I don't know. But they contracted COVID. And Betty, she just had mild symptoms of it. But it hit Pastor Price pretty hard. And he had been in the hospital. I think the way Frederick Jr. said that, and on the 27th, which was, I think, on a Wednesday, about a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks now, that his heart had stopped beating for about 10 minutes, and then he came back. And so, he's a man of faith, and the family is a man of faith. They taught us about faith. That was his whole, you hear him say it all the time before he would go off the air. We walk by faith and not by sight. That was his word. That was his signature, okay? And he taught faith. He built the faith dome and paid for it in full. Black man, okay? He did that. And so, anyway, they've been standing in faith. But I understand last night he made his transition, and I think he was 89 years old. Anyway, but I really, really, really was blessed by the ministry of Fred Price. I was. And the first time I heard about Fred Price was several years ago. And I was telling my husband this morning, I said, your daddy, my father-in-law, Jack, introduced me to Fred Price. He didn't go to church and all that, but he did tell me, he said, Margaret, he said, the only preacher I listened to that I really enjoyed, that I really learned from, is Fred Price. And I said, I've never heard of Fred. He said, you never heard? He said, he's out of California. I said, really? He said, turn on Friday nights at 8 o'clock and you can watch Fred Price. And he makes it real plain. He said, I understand everything he's saying. And I began to watch Fred Price, and I introduced Fred Price to my family members. And I'm telling you, he taught me about faith. He taught me when I was going through a sickness, I was listening to him. That helped me to get through years ago when I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. It was Fred Price who I listened to. He taught me about walking by faith and not by sight, and how we have to confess the word of the Lord. What did the Lord say about it and all that? And so I admired him. I honor him. I will always never forget. He made an impact on my life and many people's lives, but particularly mine. It made me, one of the things that caused me to dig deeper into the Word of God. He made you study, okay? And so anyway, he will truly, 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 truly be missed. And my heart is heavy. That I know that he's in a better place, but you know how you just say that a general, a great general. The other thing that I admired about him, he was one of the first men, I'm not going to say the first man, but he did address racism and religion years ago. And he was in a particular organization, and when he started speaking about some things, that how things had been told and taught in the religious circle, particular one that he was in, a part of, he found out some things and he addressed it, and he wrote a book on it. He wrote probably several volumes of books, and you can pull it up now. And that was 20 or 30 years ago when he taught that. And even since then, we're still seeing some things now, and they're still playing his videos from that, I think, on Sunday nights. If you tune in, just go to cable, I don't know what station, but you can go to YouTube and pull up the messages. And he addressed race, religion, and, race and religion. I believe that's it. But he taught on that class, and how he experienced it in the circles that he was in. And so from that, you know, it taught me some things too. He really addressed some things that stood out. So anyway, my heart is heavy about that. But I know he's in a better place, and I'm praying for the family. I believe that they probably was preparing themselves. They stood in faith. They stood to the last. And I admire that about them. They stood, and they stood, and they stood. And still standing. But we know that he was a powerful giant. And so anyway, I'm going to put a little bit of tenderizer on this meat. Now, the last time I came on here and showed you about, I did it with hamburger meat. I learned how to make hamburger stew. The hamburger stew was something. Now, when you got a bunch of kids, you know, they say, well, all the meat is gone. All the meat is on mama. They ate all the meat out of it. So I started using hamburger meat and making hamburger stew. And so that way they would have meat in every bite. But since it's just me and my husband now, we can share this stew, okay? And we can put meat in, because we don't have a bunch of kids in here that we gotta feed and all that, and make sure everybody got stuff, okay? So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this meat out. And I'm going to put it on this plate. Because it's pretty. I just wanted to cook it. Let you see what I'm doing here. Pull this down. And this tripod, this ball doesn't move that easy to me. Okay, so I'm taking this meat out to pop it out the brown. Okay, and I'm putting it here on the plate. Alright, so you can see here, I don't have the camera and all that stuff, and I have to use my phone to record everything that I'm doing. So I'm just taking the meat out here and I'm putting it on the plate, and then I'll show you what the next step I'll be taking and getting this prepared. Okay, it's already got a little sort of gravy, and I haven't put no flour or nothing on it. That's just from the meat itself. Okay, let's see. So put that there. Alright, so my meat right here, I've already browned it, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my onions and bell peppers. And right this in here. I still got, I put some carrots in here. Some onions and bell peppers. I'm just dumping that in there. Okay. There. I'm just going to let that simmer around it in that pot. Okay. Cooking that in there. Now you start smelling this scrumptious. It starts smelling delicious. My goodness. I told y'all, I wish I had the know-how on how to do smell-o-vision. Because this smells wonderful already. All I did was just throw it in there in the oil that I had cooked the meat in. I'm going to see if you can kind of see. Put this over there where you can see. So I've got that in there. And I'm letting that just kind of soften up a little bit. Okay. Putting that down like that. Alright. So that's stirring that up. Okay. What I'm going to do, letting that kind of tenderize up there. Stir that in, and then I'm going to add my meat back in there as soon as this starts cooking like I want it to. Okay? Yep. So that kind of cook up there like that. Okay. So, anyway, this is going to be a winner. They said, I don't know if we've ever we've seen some winters and stuff, winters that were cold, and we've had some, but we haven't had just like a whole bunch of snow. Not a whole bunch of snow. You know, it'll snow and then it'll melt down within a couple of days. But like I said, it's been probably, let's see, 2009, 2019 is 20 years. Okay, 2000. So it's been about 21 years. No, 12 years since we've seen a whole, we've had snow, but not to where you got snowed in. And they're warning us that it's coming. And they've been kind of hitting it right on lately. They've been hitting it right on. And so anyway, we're just having to be prepared for it. I've got nieces and a sister-in-law that moved. My brother's wife, ex-wife, his family moved here from California a few months ago. They moved to Tulsa, and I'm telling you, I think this is going to be, I don't know This is going to be some kind of winter. I don't know if Belinda's from the East Coast or not, but I know they've been in California for a long time. But baby, y'all moved in here on this winter. But I'd rather for you to be in here dealing with the cold than to be out there. And we deal with COVID too, but California is just a hot spot for that COVID. I'm telling you, it's just a hot spot. So I'd rather for you to be here because the numbers are not as high as they are in California. Anyway, we want to keep safe. So, but honey, don't be out here playing around in this cold. Because, you know, last night, I think it was last night or was it yesterday morning, somebody over in Tulsa, I don't know how they ended up under the bridge, and they had to send a rescue team out to get them. And sometimes if you just stay home, you know, and stay out the street, because when you get out and take chances and stuff like that, you put yourself in jeopardy, but then you got to have somebody come and rescue you, and then the people that's rescuing you and trying to rescue you, they put themselves in jeopardy trying to help you. So I just say stay home. If you don't have to get out, stay home. That's all I'm saying. I work at a clinic, and they was trying to debate whether or not they were going to open or stay open or close on Monday. I'm like, that's crazy. Hospitals, they have to, because, you know, patient care is very important, especially the way what we're dealing with now. People are in there with urgent. So hospitals, I understand. But clinics where you can reschedule, clinics to where you're just having some procedures that is not life-threatening, you know, why would you jeopardize yourself trying to get to the appointment? And they finally made the decision on yesterday afternoon to close the place up. And so we had to call and reschedule everybody. And some people said, well, honey, I wasn't going to try to come anyway. But we want to make sure that they were scheduled. But you got some people, well, I was coming. I was trying to get there. But then you jeopardize the workers that have to drive a long ways to get to the center appointment. And then you don't show up. And they've risked their life trying to get to work. So, see how that thing works? Anyway, ooh, these vegetables smell so good, you guys. So, I'm just trying to get them cooked here. And it smells so good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this meat back in here. They're a little softer. They're not completely. And I didn't chop this up in fine pieces. This is going to be, or you're going to have just thick pieces of vegetables. Normally I chop them up real fine, but this time I just kind of chunk them, okay? This time I just kind of chunk them. Meantime, I'm going to take this bouillon, a couple of beef bouillons, and a couple of chicken bouillon, and it'll go in the pot. Okay, chicken, and this is beef. Oh, y'all, this stuff is smelling so good. Y'all know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fix a pan of cornbread and a wrought iron skillet. Chow. And that's all she wrote. We're going to be getting I've been listening to the hearings, you guys. See what's going to happen with this case. I don't know. Like I told y'all the other day, I'm not shocked or surprised if there's an acquittal. But I want that team to fight. You're talking about they got real technical with fight. When we say fight, we're not talking about going in, inserting a right and going in, tearing up something. Okay? But using the skills, using all the law, using and taking and proving and showing evidence. And I think there's been kind of a little flip in the way they thought things was going to go down. It's a little bit different. They're calling some witnesses now. So that's kind of thrown a little something, a wrench in the whole thing where they thought it was going to go down. So we will see. We will see. see. We will see how this is going to work out. But like I said, somebody needs to be held accountable, and I personally feel like that the president needs to be held accountable for his part that he played in it. And you can't convince me that he didn't. And somebody was talking on, he said, yeah, but the law this, the law that. If you don't know how to use the law, this is this, you know. But I say righteousness and justice needs to prevail in this. Now I'm going to go ahead and add this meat back in here with these vegetables. Okay? And let all that get all mixed up in there. Okay? Add this meat and vegetables. And put in my little just kind of crushing it. It's kind of hard in there. Just throw it in there. I'm just throwing it in there. It'll break up anyway. It's gonna break up. Okay. There. So mixing that all in there like that. Alright. Let those onion flavor. See, this flavor is getting in there before you even put the water in there. Alright. Get all those flavors mixed up in there. Put it all in there. Okay. See if y'all can see what it looks like. See there? Alright. I haven't even added the vegetables other than just the onions and the bell peppers. And y'all know this flavor. Y'all know how. Ooh, if I had. I bet you before it's over with, somebody's going to come up with an invention of smell vision. I wish I knew how to do it. I don't know how to do that. But anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. So I got all that going on there. We'll take this over here and put this out the way. Okay, so I got that in there. And now I'm going to add my potatoes and carrots, okay? That in there. Stir that up. You need it pretty much, you know, kind of cook that up. Stir that up in there. Alright. Then I'm going to put in my tomato sauce. Alright. 2 cans of tomato sauce. How many ounces is this? 8 ounce. So 16 ounces. 2 small cans will equal 16 ounces. Put that in there. Alright. I'm going to put some water in here to kind of rinse that out. No sauce. Fill it up with each. So I filled up each can with water. I'm not missing no sauce. All that goes right in there. Like that. And then this here. And I'll put some more water in there, but I don't want a whole lot of water, but I want it to be a stew, but not gravy. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, some people prefer just to be, they don't use tomato sauce, but I do. So I'm mixing that all around in there. Let me let you see what that looks like. Oh, it looks so pretty. It looks so pretty. Look at that. Look at that. Looky, looky, loo. Look at that. Yes. Yes, and I'm going to let that cook. Let me add a little bit more water. Okay. Okay, this is just what I had my potatoes in, but I have to take this water, just add, like, get this a full pot. And honey, this is gonna cook on medium until the potatoes and the carrots are done. So look at here, y'all. Look at here. See that? Let me put my spoon in there. We can see that. Look at that. So potatoes and carrots. See that? Isn't that pretty? Then I'm gonna take this can. Like I said, I've washed these green beans. I'm gonna put those in there too, because all that flavor is gonna marry into the vegetables. Okay? So we're gonna mix that all in so you can see that. My, honey, my. All right, so I'm gonna let that cook probably until those are tender. And then I will show you the finished product once that gets done. I'm gonna put a top on that. Oh, that's top is too big. All right, there we go. So, got that top, and I'm gonna let that cook. I'm gonna let that cook until it gets tender, till the potatoes and the carrots are soft and tender. And what I'll do is I will be back and show you the finished product. And like I said, I'll fix a pan of cornbread with that. And get back in the light. I'll fix some cornbread with that. And that's gonna be dinner. It's warm, and it's something that you want to do on a wintertime. Soups are really good. Soups and casseroles during the wintertime. They're comfort food, but this is pretty healthy. If you don't want to have the meat, just don't eat the meat. Just eat the vegetables, okay? So anyway, I hope everyone have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay in, stay warm, okay? Until next time, and I'll be sharing you the finished product later, okay? Till next time, bye-bye. Have a blessed day. Mwah.